All right. Hi, everyone. We're going to go live in about 1 minute, or we'll go ahead and start going through all the questions, covering a couple of topics that a few of you had. So I'll just give you guys about a minute or so, wait for a few of you to hop on in. All right, so looks as though we have about 9 of you in. Thank you all for making it. It's about 3 o'clock p.m. here in Arizona, so not too late. Hopefully it's not too bad for the rest of you. All right, perfect. All right, so we'll go ahead and get everything rocking and rolling today. We do have the link, so in case you're watching this later on, I'm going to try to cover as much as possible. I have a couple of questions that came in beforehand, so we'll just work through a few items. A handful of you have already seen our minor league Q&A that we did earlier on in the season. I did add a couple of those slides back in here just to kind of give a little bit of a refresher, or those of you who have never managed a team before, this will give you a few more details as well. So of course, we do like to get started with a nice little quote just to get us going. Management is about arranging and telling. Leadership is about nurturing and enhancing. That is by Tom Peters. So just wanted to get you guys started with a little bit of something to kind of remind us all why we all chose to manage a minor league team. So just a little bit of positive encouragement there. So again, a brief overview. Join a minor league team for the 24-25 season. Opportunities for players and managers. Building excitement. Business sponsorship opportunities. Showcase your region's talent against tough competition. And elite is the pathway to pro team. So we're going to cover a little bit of that as well. Our minor league teams overview. So each U.S. state affiliates with one of the 16 ACL pro teams. So pretty similar to what we've had this past season, but for those of you who are brand new, we have 4 minor league teams for every 1 pro team is how everything is set up. Eligibility, diamond and platinum members from your affiliate states are allowed to compete. Path to pros. Elite players can be called up to the ACL pro teams. Conditions are they must live in an affiliate state not to exceed that particular roster cap. Now, our roster size for this coming season, we did make a change. So last season, it was a 20-player roster size. That seemed to be pretty large for a lot of the managers. So trying to find what seemed like a happy middle ground for that was adjusting it down to 14. So it's up to 14 players is the maximum amount with a minimum of 6 players and then a 1 non-player manager. So just someone who's managing the team. Our composition is a mix of ACL elite players and platinum members. So anyone with a platinum membership is eligible. Now that does include other skill levels. So you don't have to also be an advanced player, although a lot of managers seem to have that preference, but it is something that you can choose as long as they have a platinum membership. That's the minimum requirement up to an elite level player. Now, in naming your team, which most of us have already reviewed, went over, most of you already submitted the form, that it is based off of your town or city, and that is where, or that's how you would get your name for your team. Again, who can play? Now, this is going to be a little bit different. I've had a couple of you actually reach out and ask questions about the Diamond membership, how it does show that it's for elite and pro players. So just to cover a little bit of that, platinum members are eligible to play. Elite members are also eligible to play. New this season is pro players who are not drafted to a pro team are also eligible to play. So essentially, after our draft happens that first weekend of October, we'll all know exactly who did not make the draft list. Now, it is going to be the same. It is based off of your affiliate. So if a pro player is not drafted on a team, they would still have to fall within that pro affiliate team category. So they would need to be in one of those states in order to be picked up by your team. We do have it set to a maximum of 1 pro player per team. If there are any special circumstances or anything like that after everyone's kind of been shuffled through and all of the players have been selected, we'll kind of make a decision based off of that as it comes. But for right now, pro players who are not drafted to a pro team are in fact eligible to play on a minor league team. Our team formation, so method, how do you want to form your team? I've seen a lot of you provide a ton of different great options. Some are able to invite their players. You can hold a tryout. You can conduct a draft, whatever is going to work in your area. I saw a handful of you are conducting tryouts. That's going to be pretty cool to see how that ends up. Flexibility. So managers can modify teams until mid-season. So deadline is January 29th for that to happen. Elite and pro player rules. So call-ups, only elite players on active minor league rosters can be called up and play in both. So let's say, for example, a pro team runs into something where they do need to call up an elite player from a minor league team. Now, this is for call-ups only, not elite players who have been fully rostered based off of the draft. But anyone who is actively on a minor league team who gets called up, sometimes they're called up just for that specific event or that particular stream or whatever the case is. But if you are called up as an elite player from a minor league team, you are eligible to play in both as long as they don't interfere, which none of our minor league and pro team events ever actually cross over on top of each other. So we don't have to worry about that. Pro players, this is where it gets a little bit different. So you do want to be a little bit mindful when you do start drafting. If any of you do make that decision to pick up a pro player who is not drafted, for them, if they are called up and are rostered on a team, so if they end up being called up fully on that team, then at that point they cannot play in both. So if they're rostered from minor league, they're being pulled from that team and permanently placed on that actual pro team. So that's kind of where it gets a little bit confusing sometimes, but we will make sure that we kind of emphasize that they aren't able to play in both. Dual participation. So eligible for MLT events if no schedule conflicts with pro events, which we just touched up on as well. Let's see a quick question came in from Ginger. When you mention pro players, does that include senior, women's, and junior pro tour? So that is a great question. I'm really glad that you asked that, Ginger. So anyone who is on the women's, juniors, and pro or senior tour, if they are only specifically on that one, not inclusive of the players who are both. So for example, Gina Ramirez, she is a female who is on the women's pro tour, but she is also on the main pro tour. So anyone who is in both of those tours are not eligible. Someone who is just on the women's tour, just eligible for the junior tour, and just eligible for the senior pro or pro tour, they are eligible to play. And there's no specific limit to that because they will be listed as elite players. So that's kind of where that lies. So yes, Ginger, those players are eligible as long as they're not in both. Let me see. So I hope that answers. If you need more clarification or if anyone does, just go ahead and drop them in the comments and I'll try to re-clarify that a little bit. So going into the entry fees. So the entry fees are a little bit different this season. They are going to be $240 a team per event. We are still doing the 50% payouts at regular season events with a guaranteed minimum $50,000 prize pool at the World Championships for that main bracket. So the championship bracket will still have a minimum of $50,000 prize pool. And then the consolation bracket will just be what you pay into that. Eligibility. So only platinum or diamond members are eligible to win any of that prize money for those particular events. Our event structure is going to be the same as last season. We talked about switching a few things earlier on, but decided to just keep the similar format for this season until some of our changes and adjustments are made probably for next season. So this year's format, 4 match round robins. You're going to do your 4 round robin and then your elimination bracket after that. So it'll be a single elimination bracket. It is going to still be the 3 doubles games is what we're looking at. Now, participation, only 1 team of 6 can play per event. So if you have 12 of your players who come and they all want to play, you can't submit 2 separate teams from the same team. So it's only 6 who are eligible to play. Now, if you do have 12 players playing, you can rotate those players throughout the round robin, where some of them get play time. Maybe one player plays a few more times. However it is that's going to work for your team in that moment, depending on how many players you have, unless you make anything specific for your specific team. Some managers last season said, hey, these are the 6 that are going. These are the 6 that are playing. So you can kind of make that adjustment based off of your team and what that looks like. Our ranking and points are going to look the exact same as it did last season. So season points, earn points from round robin and knockout rounds. Maximum points of 1,200, 300 from round robin, 900 from the elimination. Again, championships, top 50% will go to the championship bracket. That is the $50,000 bracket, with the bottom half going to the consolation bracket for that. Sponsorships and jerseys. I did have a couple of you message and reach out in terms of sponsorships. We are going to have the exact same amount of sponsorship availability on each jersey. So however that works for your team. And we'll kind of go over a little bit of what that might look like as well. We would need sponsor logos, either some type of a PNG or I believe what was the other, an SVG format is kind of what they're looking at for those for the uploads. And also, please utilize the organizational form. We are going to go over a couple of key elements on that and just what's really important that we will need to have updated in there. And we'll do that in just a little bit. But just to let you all know, if you've already gone through the process of getting your sponsorships and jerseys, it's going to look the exact same as last year. Social media and communication. So again, guidance, all managers will receive directions for creating Facebook pages and ordering jerseys. So in that initial Google Doc that was emailed to all of you, I am updating that doc as the information is provided. So I did go ahead and put in that note that gave you the information about creating the Facebook pages. Now, if you have submitted to create a Facebook page through the doc, because you do have to do that, and you don't see your name on that drop-down menu, we are working at getting all of those teams added in there, just so we can make sure that everything is all set to go. So that will take about a day or so to get that updated for you guys. Approved minor league logo. This is what you're going to use for social media channels, your profile picture, as well as your banner, and then on any promotional items that you do in terms of flyers or anything like that. Now, please do your best. I know everyone's excited, everyone's ready to go, but do not create your own logo. So don't make any logos, don't make your own personal banner. All of those are very specific to minor league teams. And once we get those fully ready to go and created for you, I'll send all of you a message and then get you guys all of your links and information. So hopefully that will be available quickly. I'm just waiting for those to get designed so we can get you guys rocking and rolling with that. Important dates again, we've already surpassed the management application. Local directors are eligible to start applying for positions now for those areas that were not picked up. If you know of any regional directors, or if you're a state director or anything like that, and you know someone who is looking at that, please make sure that they fill out the application. Even a regional director who might have accidentally forgot is still eligible to apply through the local director application. There is a spot that lists what level you are. So just make sure that you do update that as quickly as possible. Or if you know someone who said, darn it, I missed the window, go ahead and let them know that they can apply again through that process. Our jersey ordering process. So ideally, you want to start getting all of that over to the manufacturer by October 15th. A couple of folks are going to be ready before then. So I am going to start that process on October 1st for anyone who is ready to go and get that going. But we do want to try to get that between the 1st and the 15th, just for the sponsor logo uploads, approvals. Sometimes it can take a little bit of a process. So as quickly as you get that information, and once you start getting sponsors or anything like that, just start collecting those logos, get them ready for us so we can go ahead and make sure that we get you guys all ready to go. Our first minor league event is Open number 3. So that's November 1st through the 3rd. Again, the ad drop deadline is January 29th. And then World Championships, we'll release that date once we have all of the details and everything set up specific to minor league teams. So this past year we had it on a Wednesday. It may or may not be on a Wednesday again this season. So once we get that finalized, we'll go ahead and let you all know. So a quick summary, just steps: reviewing your eligibility of your players, deciding on your team's formation method, begin recruiting players, seek sponsorships if needed. And then if you have any questions or anything like that, please make sure that you email. I know a couple of you do send messages on Facebook. I try my best to get through those, but it's, Facebook messages are starting to pile up a little bit. So try to just send those questions through email just to make sure that I'm getting that checked and I'm able to respond to you guys as quickly as possible. So we do have some Q&As that I'll open up, but before I do that, let me see. Sorry, I'm going to go through this quick one. Thought the first minor league event was on the 5th Open. Is it not Opens 5 through 12? No, Caleb. So we actually made an adjustment. So minor league is starting at Open number 3. So with that one, we decided to add in some additional events for everyone. So it is Open 3 through Open number 12. So we are giving everyone more opportunity to play with that. If we have the same sponsor and logo as last season, do we need to submit for approval again? So as long as those details and information are still in our drive, you should be good. But go ahead and just plug in to your form so I know that it's the same sponsors. I'll go in, make sure the logos, and if everything looks the same, then we're golden and you won't have to resubmit that again. So great question, Ginger. And then yes, thank you, Caleb. I'm glad you asked that. So really quick here, I do want to review with some of you guys. I did add an organizational spreadsheet. So just to kind of go over a couple of things here. This is what you'll use to kind of organize your team. I know a handful of you probably have a couple of different methods and everything, which is fantastic. You do not have to use this in the exact way that this is. However, there are some key details just to make it a little bit easier to get the information that we need throughout the season. That is going to be in here. So on the first page is the events and roster lineup. Now, if you went ahead and opened up the spreadsheet, it should show all the details. What I did ask is if you go to File and Make a Copy. So that is key. File, make a copy so that the original doesn't have all of your information for everyone else to see. Then right in here, these are just examples. Green is what I would designate for any players who confirm that they're going. Red is that they haven't confirmed. Right here, it shows Little Rock Open number 3 and a couple of the details in here. Now, this is a great tool. I share this just for all of our team to view. So you can do the same if that's what you decide to do. Whatever your decision is as a manager, that works best for you and your team is what you're going to want. But this is what I use to communicate with our entire team so they knew everything that was going on. It was fully transparent. And they were able to kind of make the decisions as to where they wanted to go. So as all of our locations do get released, you can always update everything in here and keep everybody posted. Right down here at the bottom, we set up open. You type in the open number. Let's say it's open number 3. You can set your lineup. Now, again, like I said, every manager does something a little bit differently, but if you have predetermined lineups that your team decided to do, you can submit all of these in here. What I recommend on doing is having a captain designated for the event, especially if they're going to be there in person. I had 2 captains that I used a majority of the time for our team. Both of them had very good knowledge on how to create a roster, how to create the teams, set the lineups, and do everything like that. So I went ahead and just said, hey, make sure you take a look. Open number 3. There's the lineup. This is what we're doing for each game. Above it shows round robin 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, of course, this is a guide. They can work with it. If they have to make adjustments based off of how the playability of the team is, they can make adjustments. But this is something that just helps the captain and the team try to stay organized, on board, and have those expectations set as ahead of time as possible. Now, the most important tab that we're going to be looking at is the team details. So right here, all the players that you have on your team, type in their first name and last name. Player ID is very important, as well as email for your team. So in case there's communication or something that we want to get out, we can just send it off to everyone who needs the information. If it's player specific, if there's anything that we need to update players on, or yourself as a manager as well, we want to make sure that we have as much information detailed as possible. You can enter in a jersey size, a handful of teams made t-shirts. Now the t-shirts can be specific to your area or just something fun if you want to make. Logos themselves, though, for the actual team logos cannot be used and sold or anything like that. So some players just made a fun t-shirt just for a travel t-shirt, whatever the case is. Right next to it, I do have a bag preference 1 and 2. Sometimes you have players who all play with the same bag. Sometimes you don't. If some of you do end up utilizing a bag sponsor for your team, which you all have ability to do so, that's something that you choose to do. You can put down what their bag preference is, so that then when you reach out to the bag manufacturer, you have an idea, hey, you know what, we need to have at least a fast bag and a slow bag. Is this something that you're able to do? And then that way, based off of the player's bag preferences, they can try to match you with the best type of bag. Again, that is your agreement with that bag sponsor. Whatever you choose to do is 100% up to you. And then right here, I just put down which open event, if there's any specific notes, and then event details if that's something that you want to add in there as well. So this is kind of the most important piece that I'll be looking at, very much so, especially with player ID. A lot of time throughout the season, players would change some type of names, or a player gets married, or sometimes a player, goes from their main name to their middle name. Lots of things happen. So when we get close to the payout portion of the season, it made it very difficult trying to find players, because paying out minor league and pro teams, it's all a manual process line by line. So we just want to make sure that we're getting the accurate players paid out without having any issues with that. Let me see. I've got a couple of questions here. Okay, Hayden Smith. So a 2-part question. Do my college players need to change their information to show they are in South Carolina or North Carolina? Yes, so they're going to be in South Carolina or North Carolina for a majority of the season. They just have to re-update the area that they are in. Yes. Now, if they don't, or if for some reason they're stuck or anything like that, just make sure that on the team details, you can go ahead and, write down a note, or even just put a little portion somewhere here so that we know which players, just so we can double check to make sure that they're where they need to be. Great question. Do we foresee MLT and college interfering with one another on Fridays? Let's see. Interfering with one another on Fridays. Just a great question. They should not be interfering with each other, but let me check that really quick. It's going to take 1 second. Let me pull something up really quick just to double check that. I'm going to skip over to Chris Stevens from Dane on Facebook Messenger. How many sponsorship logo spots are available? Last year was 1 on the arm and a club logo. Is that the same this year? Or is it a little more like the pro and elite jerseys? No, the pro and elite jerseys are very specific to the amount of sponsors that are on that. The minor league jerseys are going to be the exact same as it was last season. So now the minor leagues did have 1 on the chest and then 1 on each side. So if that answers your question, Dane and Chris. From Caleb, the same 6 players have to play all the rounds, correct? No. So you can do a rotation. So let's say you have 8 players. then you can kind of rotate them from, 1, 2, and 3. So for example, let's say your first round of round robin, you have 6 players, like, okay, did that work? Did it not work? And then you have 8 people who are there, who are eligible, who are only there for the minor league portion. So then let's say round number 2, you sub out 2 of the players and say, well, let's see if this works a little bit better. So you can make some of those adjustments. It doesn't have to be the same 6. You can rotate them. So what some teams did is during the 4-game round robin, they rotated a couple of the players around just based off of, maybe how they were doing, how they were feeling. If you have enough players to do so, you can rotate them around. If that answers your question, Caleb. Then we'll go through. So I'm looking for this other one because I believe the way minor league worked out, it wasn't going to be a conflict, but let me just make sure. Sorry, one second here, everyone. All right. Okay, perfect. Yep. So the way we have it set up is that the minor league teams, open 3. Yeah, no, you should be fine with the college and high school students with minor league teams. Some of them might be kind of close to the timing, but we'll work through that once we get there. But we should be good with that time frame. Where was that question at? Okay, there it is. Sorry. So do we foresee MLT and college interfering with one another on Fridays? No, it shouldn't interfere, but if it gets kind of close to the timing, we'll kind of figure that out as it goes. But based off of what we had written in here, they should be fine. Let me see. Thank you. Yes, Hayden, you're welcome. Thanks for asking. That was a great question. I'm glad you did. Let's see here. All right, so going right here, I did write just a small little tidbit on sponsorship. So this, again, you can use it. You do not have to use it. Whatever is going to work for your team. This is just a guide just to try to give you some type of organizational, items. One of the things that I did here is we had a bag sponsor for our specific team last season. So what we went ahead and did was we wrote all of our players' names. We wrote down if they supplied bags. There is a spot that says purchase set. Our particular bag sponsor allowed the players to purchase both types of bags. So we had a fast bag or a slow bag. They received that as a freebie. And then they had the option to purchase the other type of bag if they wanted to have both sets. So that's kind of the difference there. I can actually, so I have a sample right here. Don't know if you all can see that very well. So there is a white set and a dark set. We had Power Dragons and Dirty Dragons. So they had the options for either one of those. So if that helps anyone, this is kind of what that little guide looked like there. At the bottom, some of the manufacturers or one of our sponsors went through a jersey reimbursement. So we just put in what the amount, this particular one said that they would cover half the cost of the jersey. So we just wrote down, did they order it? Did they not order it? And then what was the amount that that particular sponsor had to reimburse to the team or to those players? Team stats. So those of you who are not fully familiar with minor league teams, team stats is kind of one of those things that it was there for the captain to kind of view the information, and then we would download some data to provide to everyone as well. So this is just something, again, if you choose to do it, some of our players wanted this information, and a lot of them actually kept track. So for each round robin, this can be done during the event or after the event, so you can make a game plan for the next one. This kind of provides you all of that information. If you choose to plug it in there, our team relied on a lot of statistics and numbers. So this is kind of what we used for each individual event. And then that way we could figure out, okay, what did we earn at each you know, for round robin or bracket points. Did we win? Did we lose? And it just kind of gave, you know, details about those particular players, including what team they played. So trying to get a little bit more technical on that, Chris. Are there light and dark jerseys and price per? So the jerseys, it's going to be the exact same option as last year. So it's just the one particular colorway. If there's anything that changes with that, I will let you guys know. We're actually going to go over a couple of jersey things in the next probably week or so I can get more clarification on that, but it is the exact same jersey as last year. I don't know if I have let's see if I can find a photo really quick. Sorry, I'm just pulling up our Teams Facebook group really quick to show you guys what that looks like. There we go. I'm going to pull this over to this side. All right, so this is what last year's looked like. So this is essentially what the colors are. Now each team, once you get the link, you're going to see what those, you know, color options are that was provided to us. But this is essentially what it looked like. So for example, right here, those are where we had our logos. There's our bag sponsor right here, and then our club is right here. Now, some people switch that around a little bit. I'll get all of those details from the managers once we're kind of ready to start that process. We'll go ahead and start plugging all of that information in, and I'll post probably, you know, maybe one of these jerseys and then kind of go over what you can change and what you can't change. So we'll definitely review that as well. I'm going to write a note really quick for that. So post jerseys. Jersey mock-up with sponsor availability. Okay. All right, I'll get that to you guys. I'm going to write a deadline for 9/17. So I'll get that to all of you tomorrow to make sure that we have some kind of mock-up. And then if the mock-up works out, we'll try to get that over to your guys' sponsors or something for you guys to use with that. There we go. All right, perfect. Now, I know we kind of ran through a lot of that pretty quickly. I wanted to make sure that we reaffirmed some of the information, we reviewed some of the information. Are there any other specific questions that any of you might have had in terms with, you know, anything like that that you guys were looking at? Let's see. Sorry, it looks kind of delayed on this side. Okay, perfect. Let me check the Facebook chat real quick. Make sure there's no other questions in here. All right, perfect. And so it looks as though we should have covered a little bit of everything there. So we should be golden. Looks like some of the questions here. Okay, perfect. And then I'll also go ahead and get the slide. I'll plop it into our Facebook group just so that way all of you can take a look at it. What is the process to submit my club logo? Submit my club logo to be on the team jersey. So I'll go ahead and post all of that information. I will get that kind of rolling about October 1st. So I will go ahead and have a Facebook form or a doc that's going to showcase and provide all of you guys that information. That's a great question, Brad. But once you have your logo and everything, Most of you should have your logo, so if you guys want, I can go ahead and get that started for you guys at the end of the week. So you guys can go ahead and start emailing out those logos. So we do actually email them or get them emailed over, plug them into a Google Drive specific to your team, or we create a Google Drive folder, send it to you, and then you can go ahead and upload all of those files that you need in there as well. So I'll go ahead and get that started this week. Great question, Brad. That's a good idea, since everyone should have those logos. Now, also with your logos, try to print, have them where they're in the best printable format. Again, either an SVG. If you do have either a PNG or any of those forms, just try to make sure that the background is transparent. But a JPEG or anything like that could work as well. But just make sure that it's clear enough for us to use. The clearer it is and the more, the better the file is going to make it a much quicker process and is going to look a lot better for your jerseys as well. So great question, Brad. I'm also going to add that to my note. Begin upload for team. And I'll also keep you guys updated. Still waiting for some of those designs to come through for your minor league team names. So once those get in, we'll go ahead and get you guys rocking and rolling. Michael G. So cool guy glasses. All right, perfect. So if you guys have any other questions, go ahead and let me know. Feel free to post any of them in the minor league chat. One thing I do want to bring up is that I do have a lot of people who are being requested to be added to the minor league manager Facebook group. That one is intended just for the minor league managers. We can kind of review if we want a captain or something in there, but I do have a couple of you who are adding what I'm assuming is going to be team members, but I do have a pretty big group of people who are being added to it. I've not approved them, but I don't see them listed as a manager. So just make sure that when adding anyone to the group, or if you know of another minor league manager that hasn't gotten into the group, go ahead and add them in. But I am cross-referencing and reviewing them. So if you do have a bunch of players that you're trying to add in, I'm probably not going to include them in there. What you can do, though, is create your own group chat, either a Facebook chat or a Facebook group specific to your team. Communicate with them that way. That is a fantastic way to go. But they might be a little bit bored in our specific, group chat, and that's kind of for us to make sure that things don't get lost in the shuffle. So I do want to make sure you guys have all of the important information. Probably later on, either in the month or maybe once we kind of start rolling out a couple of things in October, we'll do another one of these. It'll be a much quicker, just a Q&A or something like that, just so we can all get together, talk to each other, and then see if there's anything else that we're missing or anything that you guys need us to provide to you in order to get support. But we're really, really excited to get this process going. I'm most excited that we have a lot of these areas covered that we didn't have last year, and just really, ready for the season to begin. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you guys all have fun. And any questions, please feel free to send them my way. Quickest way to get a response is through email, Facebook. If for some reason I'm on and your message just happens to pop up while I'm there working through something, I will try to respond quickly. But if it's an immediate, I have a now question, please make sure that you send that via email. That is the fastest way to get a response at this time. But other than that, we did that great. We were in about 40 minutes, which is exciting. So they're getting a little bit shorter. But again, just questions, reach out. Thank you guys so much for everything. I'm excited for the season. And I hope you guys all have a great day. We're going to go ahead and end the stream. But thank you guys again so much. Bye-bye.